So when we talk about elimination, right, we're talking about basically what we're doing is we can add equations together to eliminate a variable. We'll get into more of what that means. We're going to go through these 8 steps. Yeah. So we're going to go through these 8 steps, right? They'll make more sense once we do in a couple examples. So step 1 is to make sure that x's and y's line up, right, and numbers. So basically we just need the y's, x's, y's, and numbers all above each other, right? Number 2 is we're going to see if there's opposites in either variable, right? So what do I mean by opposites, right? What would the opposite of 2x be?
Negative 2x.
Add. So negative 2x would be the opposite of 2x. What would the opposite of negative 6y be? 6y, right? Basically, when we talk about opposites, we're talking about what's going to add together to equal 0. Okay? So if I don't have opposites, I need to multiply one or both equations to make them. Here. So not opposites, I'm going to multiply an equation, or 2. Right? Once I get opposites, I'm going to add the equations together. All right, and so we'll talk about what that means in a second. Once I do that, I'll have a one-step equation that I want to solve for whatever variable I didn't eliminate. All right? 6, 7, and 8 is exactly what we've been doing once we know one variable, right? We take that variable, we plug that solution into one of the original equations and solve for what we need to know, right? And then the 8th step, right? Always want to check these. Okay? So let's look at these steps in action. So I'm going to keep them kind of up there for this first one. So look at 2x plus 5y equals 17 and 6x minus 5y equals 9. First thing I want to look at is, are my x's, y's, and numbers all aligned? Yeah, right? A lot of times they'll be given to you. Most times, sometimes you might run into an example or two where they're not, but most times it'll look like they're aligned. So when I say, do I have opposites? Which ones?
5y.
The 5y, right? Positive y, negative y. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add these equations together, right? So what is 6x plus 2x? 8x. Right? Plus 5y minus 5y is going to reduce to 0. And then 17 minus 9 is 8. Right? Now I have a one-step equation. Right? What do I need to do? Divide by 8. X equals 1. Yeah, right? Not too bad for the first variable. So now I need to find y, right? So I go back to one of my original equations. Which one do you guys think would be better to use to find y?
First one.
Why the first one?
Because it's positive.
So the first one's all positives, right? So if you can avoid any negative numbers, do it. So I'm going to use the first one just because it's all positive, right? So say 2 times, now I know x is 1, right? Plus 5y equals 17. So 2 plus 5y. So my first step in solving this is to do what? It's my first step. Subtract 2. 5y equals 15. Divide by 5. Y equals 3. Right? So then you want to write it as 1, 3. All right, so there's your solution. I'm going to leave the checking part to you. I think you guys are pretty capable of that, so we're not going to spend the time going through it. Right? But you just plug those back into the variables, right, and check to see if the equations are true. So any questions on that one? All right, so let's look at the second one. All right, negative 2x plus 15y equals negative 32. 7x minus 5y equals 17. So if I look, all of my, Deacon, all of my, Justin, it's not helpful. All of my variables and numbers line up, right? Do I have opposites here?
Yep. No.
So, kind of, right? I have positives and negatives for each one, but if I were to add like -2 and 7, I wouldn't get 0. If I were to add 15 and -5, it wouldn't get 0. So here's where you have to do that part where you multiply one of the equations by something to make opposites. So when you start deciding which one you want to do, what I would look at is always look at the smaller number, right? So I get 2 and 7. Is there anything I can multiply 2 by, an easy number to multiply 2 by to get to 7? No, right? 2 times 3 is the closest thing I can get, and that's 6. So I look and say, what about 5 and 15? Can I multiply 5 by something to get to 15?
Yes.
3. So I'm going to multiply this bottom equation by 3. Right? And in order to make sure I keep the equation, right, I need to multiply everything, right? Both sides by 3. Yes, Cora? Can you wait till we're done with notes? Okay. So 3 times 7x is 21x. 3 times -5 is? What's 3 times -5? -15. So minus 15y. 34, 51. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, just to make things easier on myself, I'm going to rewrite that top equation just so I have it. Okay. So all I did is rewrote the top equation underneath my one that I wrote. I have my opposites so I can add them together. All right. 21 minus 2 is what, Hayden?
I didn't say anything.
I know. What's 21 minus 2?
Oh,
19.
lost. Wait, what?
So I have 19x, right? 15 minus 15 is 0. 51 minus 32, 19. Okay, so divide. So x equals 1. All right, so x equals 1 again. So now if I look, right, if x equals 1, is there one equation that's going to be better to... So why the bottom one, do you think? So there's only one negative, right? So I like that, right?
What if you do the top one?
You could do the top one, right? It doesn't matter. So I say, well, 7 times 1 minus 5y equals 17. Right? So 7 times 1 is 7, right? 7 minus 5y equals 17. So subtract 7. Negative 5y equals 10. Divide. Y equals -2. Right? So then I write my answer. 1, -2. Okay, questions on that one? All right, so really the biggest change from what we've been doing is that I need to make those opposites before I solve. After that, it's pretty straight, the same thing. All right, last one. 3x plus 2y equals 1. 4x plus 3y equals -2. Do I have any opposites? No. So now I need to make some, right? So look at, again, that kind of idea. Can I multiply 3 by anything easily to get to 4? No, right? Can I multiply anything easily to get 2 to 3? No. So now I just want to look at, just pick one to eliminate, right? What do you guys want to do? X or Y get rid of?
X.
Okay, so let's get rid of X. What's the smallest number I could get both of those to? Can I get 4 to 6? 12, right? So what would I have to multiply the top by to get to 12? 4. So I'm going to multiply that by 4 and that by 4. And what about the bottom one?
3.
I just heard somebody say it.
3.
-3. Right? Because I need one of them to be the opposite. And so I'm going to make the bottom one the opposite. All right, so I'm going to do both those. So 4 times 3 is, we said, 12. Right? 12x plus 4 times 2y is? 8y. 1 times 4 is? 4. Okay. Now I have negative 12x plus negative 9y equals 6. So now I can add these together, right? 12x and negative 12x reduced to 0. 8 minus 9 is negative 1, so say negative y. 6 plus 4 is 10. So if negative y equals 10, what does y equal? Negative 10. So now we got y, right? Which one of the original equations do you guys want to use? Top one, right? There's no negative, so makes things maybe a little easier. So 3x plus 2 times y equals 1. All right? So you have 3x plus negative 20, so I say 3x minus 20 equals 1. So next step is to add 20. 3x equals 21. So x equals 7. Right? Remember, x comes first, so 7, negative 10 is my solution.